9 Principles of Strategy from the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. Number 1. Do not think dishonestly. To reach our full potential, we must see ourselves for what we are. In order to overcome our personal flaws, we must first be able to identify them. It takes great courage and humility to admit our shortcomings, but in doing so, we grant ourselves the ability to improve and grow in our character. We must always be able to accept criticism from others, applying their advice to make necessary changes in our lives. Our quest for self-knowledge and growth is a lifelong task that will never be over. We must accept the fact that we will never achieve perfection, while at the same time never ceasing to pursue it. One will never truly be at peace until they understand this and put it to practice. Number 2. The way is in training. Battles are won long before they begin. In all competitive pursuits, preparation is the currency that purchases victory. The most successful martial artist, scholar, or businessman spends hours training. Bruce Lee once said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." Mastery of every simple detail is necessary for the mastery of the entire art. The way of the warrior is the way of preparation through training. If the warrior trains for all possible outcomes, with regard for the fog of war and its uncertainties, he will never find himself unprepared on the battlefield. To master the art of war and the way of the warrior, master the art of preparation and training. Number 3. Become acquainted with every art. A practitioner who limits themselves to one art ignores the weakness of their own style. Musashi always spoke out against specific styles practiced by the various sword schools of Japan. He felt that the rigidity of one style restricted the swordsman from reaching their full potential as a warrior. In modern mixed martial arts, a fighter must have a sufficient understanding of all martial arts. Any weakness in a specific art will be exploited by a more well-rounded fighter. Having no way as the way, being open to any style, both in combat and in thought, is necessary to master strategy. Number 4. Know the ways of all professions. Musashi claimed the way of the warrior is the twofold path of the pen and sword. To understand strategy, one must understand more than just combat. The true warrior is a soldier as much as he is a scholar. The finest strategist is a philosopher as much as they are a warrior. Musashi compares the way of the carpenter to the way of strategy. Both the master carpenter and the master strategist are master planners. The carpenter must decide the best way to construct a house, from its foundations to its walls and ceilings, the same way a strategist must plan their campaigns, mapping out supply routes and discovering the best path to their destination. Similarly, the carpenter must know the capabilities of his workers, as the strategist must know the capabilities of his warriors. In this way, the knowledge of all professions benefits the knowledge of strategy. Number 5. Distinguish between gain and loss in worldly matters. Do not spend too much time mourning a loss. Setbacks and defeats are inevitable and unavoidable. In moments such as these, we must continue to push forward and exercise resilience. Although we may not realize it then, a perceived loss may turn out to be a victory, and a moment where we believe to have won may turn out to be a defeat. An old Taoist story about a Chinese farmer's luck illustrates this concept perfectly. One day, while tending to his crops, the farmer's horse suddenly runs away. Upon hearing the news, his neighbors expressed, "Such bad luck," to which the farmer replies, "Maybe." The next morning, the horse returned, with 3 other wild horses. "Such good luck," the neighbors exclaimed, to which the farmer once again replied, "Maybe." The next day, his son attempted to ride one of the wild horses, but was thrown off it, breaking his leg. Again the neighbors said, "Such bad luck," only to receive the same reply from the farmer, "Maybe." A few days later, military officials arrived at the village to draft young men into the army, to fight for their kingdom, which had just declared war on another. Seeing the farmer's son's leg was broken, they excused him from service and went on their way. The neighbors, shocked, once more said, "Such good luck," to which the farmer, ever stoic and unconcerned, said, maybe. Until events have completely transpired, we can never truly know whether their outcome was good or bad. In this spirit, we should not despair over loss, but instead get back up and keep moving forward. Number 6. Develop intuitive judgment and understanding for everything. While we cannot know everything completely, we can develop our ability to reason and think critically in order that we may possess the ability to understand as much about the world as possible. Reasoning, which is not wholly dependent upon empirical knowledge and sensory experience, allows us to come to conclusions about things without a complete view of the whole picture. When facts are not wholly available, we must depend upon our reasoning, critical thinking, and intuitive judgment to come to conclusions and do our best to understand. Number 7. Perceive those things which cannot be seen. In the Book of Void, Musashi writes, "By knowing things that exist, you can know that which does not exist." Similarly, he says, perception is strong and sight weak. In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close and to take a distance view of close things. You may often see something, but not fully understand the significance of it. Information is often useless without context, the way sight is useless without perception. Perception comes from utilizing reason to understand the importance of what you see and come to logical conclusions from it. Sometimes, the idea of something exists even more than the object in reality. Senses can often be misleading, requiring us to use our minds to understand what is true and what is false. In doing this, we can better understand things which we cannot see and things that exist within the void. Number 8. Pay attention even to trifles. It is the little, simple details which make up the information to understand the bigger picture. Little details in war may mean the difference between life and death. Minute differences in an environment could identify the imminent occurrence of an ambush. The slight change in facial expressions of an enemy could mean fear. Small details allow us the ability to exploit our enemy's weaknesses and overcome our own disadvantages. To understand the bigger picture, we must first understand the little things that build up the larger image. What may seem insignificant in one moment may appear infinitely more important in the future. Never take the little things for granted, for it can mean the difference between victory and defeat. Number 9. Do nothing which is of no use. Our time in this world is shorter than it may seem. We often waste hours on activities that do not yield us benefits. A simple scroll through Instagram or other social media could turn into hours which could have been better spent bettering ourselves through reading, studying, or exercising. Don't count the days, make the days count. This also means working smarter, not harder. To truly maximize productivity, we must find the balance between various activities which result in the greatest overall efficiency. Set your goals and create the best means of achieving them. To conclude, I'll read an excerpt from Musashi, briefly explaining these basic principles. From the Groundbook. It is important to start by setting these broad principles in your heart, and train in the way of strategy. If you do not look at things on a large scale, it will be difficult for you to master strategy. If you learn and attain this strategy, you will never lose, even to 20 or 30 enemies. More than anything, to start with, you must set your heart on strategy and earnestly stick to the way. You will come to be able to actually beat men in fights, and to be able to win with your eye. Also by training, you will be able to freely control your own body, conquer men with your body, and with sufficient training, you will be able to beat 10 men with your spirit. When you have reached this point, will it not mean that you are invincible? This is the Warrior Philosopher, building the foundations of the warrior philosophy.